Yo, what up, friends? NBA All-Star Weekend. Were they able to save the NBA All-Star Game? Adam Silver had some ideas. Said he ran it past a bunch of All-Stars. Said he got Steph Curry's advice. You know whose advice he didn't get? Apparently, he didn't talk to LeBron. You know who sat out last night? The self-proclaimed king, Mr. LeBron. We'll talk about that in just a second. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Jaron winning $100,000. Not only did he say he would help his family, he would also contribute that to his college education and then as well contribute to his community to try to help and serve. So shout out to you, Jaron. Not only did he beat Damian Lillard in a logo three-point contest. I want to think in my heart that Damian probably clanked a couple on purpose just so the kid could win. You don't want to take that away from the kid. The NBA donated $50,000 to both the Damian Lillard's charities anyways, so let the kid have the money. It obviously was to promote Mr. Beast and his new games on Amazon. So, hey, we're trying to get like Mr. Beast over here too. So shout out. All right. But yeah, it was also a wrap for TNT's coverage of the NBA All-Star Game. Next year, NBC gets the rights to the All-Star Game. So this will be the last time we see the inside the NBA crew at the All-Star Game. Kevin Hart gave them a tribute last night, as well as a bunch of jokes, including one about being an adult film director, which I thought was going to get him taken off the air. But apparently he has way too much star power and can say something like that and get away with it. When we're looking at this All-Star Game, let's look at a couple of components here in what they tried to do to make the All-Star Game better. What I want to talk about is the Team Spurs disqualification. This is BS. This is BS. I don't know what's going on here, but if you make rules and someone finds a way legally around those rules, you cannot disqualify them. I'm sorry. No, I am not with this. Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama were disqualified from the skills challenge because they were too smart for the rest of the competition. I don't know why no one's thought about this before, because I know I certainly have. I've said this before while watching the skills challenge. Why don't they just throw the ball at the rim? It doesn't say you have to shoot to make the ball. It just says you have to have 3 balls go towards the rim, pause. Wow, super reckless. Jeez, holy cannolis. That caught me off guard. They got to go towards the rim. It never says you have to shoot to make. Never says you have to shoot to make. So what did Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama do? Chris Paul was like, yo, son, this is what we're going to do. We just go throw the balls at the rim 3 times, quick as possible, and keep it moving. They had the best time ever, 49.7. But no, they suspended him, disqualified him. I can't believe it. This is BS, NBA. I can't believe that you would suspend people for being more intelligent than you are. Can't believe it at all. Shout out to Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. You know who doesn't get a shout out? You know who doesn't get a shout out for this? The NBA security guard. Whoever that NBA official was on the sideline, this is what happened, y'all. So as they found out they were being disqualified, my reporter brethren, the great Allie LaForce, was trying to go in for an interview with Chris Paul to ask him what happened. Well, when she did this, some rando, don't nobody know who you are, son, some rando came in and told her, no, not right now. We ain't going to have none of that. Excuse me? First of all, sir, who are you? Who the deuce are you to tell the NBA reporter that she can't do her job in the middle of All-Star Weekend? We want to hear from Chris Paul to hear what happened. We want to hear this. And you out here trying to flaunt some sort of power that you don't have because don't nobody know who your ass is. So first of all, sit your ass down, sucker. We don't need none of you here. Let Allie LaForce do her job. Shout out to her. NBA, y'all BSing. The question going around everywhere, did McClung save the dunk contest? Did he? A three-time winner of the dunk contest. He came in and gave us some dunks we hadn't seen before. Some we had. He even improvised on Blake Griffin's car dunk and didn't just dunk over the hood, but actually dunked over the whole damn car, which in itself is impressive if you can jump over a damn car without dunking a basketball. As Kenny said for Vince Carter 20 years ago, it's over. Let's go home. It's over. Shout out to Vince, though. They had a tribute, half man, half amazing, when he did the dunk contest, the greatest dunk contest ever, when Vince Carter just went off. Did McClung reach those levels? No, not at all. But shout out to him for representing and giving us the show, because the past few years, the rest of his competition don't even know how to dunk a damn basketball. What are we doing? Y'all can't even, did you practice this beforehand, or did you just think of what you were going to do? Or y'all so young, you were just playing on NBA 2K dunk contests, and you decided that was good enough? What a horrendous contest. It wasn't a contest. Like Kenny Smith said, McClung out there, put some music on for 5 minutes and let him show us his whole repertoire. That'd be better. The only way this improves is if Ja Morant, I'm calling y'all out right now, Ja Morant, Giannis, Levine, Gordon, all of y'all come back out. Zach Levine, Aaron Gordon, both former dunk champions, come out of retirement. Ja Morant, Giannis Antetokounmpo last night on X said that they may be willing to do it next year if McClung comes again. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. All five of y'all, let's get it on. That would restore and revive the legacy of the dunk contest. But until you get stars in that dunk contest, it will never, ever be what it was back when Michael and Dominique, MJ and Dominique were battling. Y'all remember that? Ooh, wee. What about the game itself, right? This has been, one more thing about the dunk contest, though. Somebody mentioned online Zion Williamson. Sir and or ma'am, he cannot even stay healthy enough to be on the damn court. We don't need him injuring himself in a dunk contest. I want to see him on the damn court first, because he's a hell of a player. I did a documentary on him. He's a great player. Anyways, what about the game itself? Will we see more format changes going into the future? James announced, LeBron James, I want to announce this first before I get into the game, because he didn't announce till 2 hours before tip-off that he wasn't going to play. Sir, you knew way more than 2 hours before that you wasn't playing. If you're going to be the king of the league, the self-proclaimed king of the league, you need to know that hurts other players. If you would have bowed out 2 days before, they could have given an alternate in there, given another player a chance to get that shine that you've now taken away from them, just for you to sit on the sidelines in a bland-ass outfit, by the way. Now, I'm a LeBron hater. We all know this. He is one of the greatest of all time. But I'm a hater. We know this on this program. But you can't do that. You can't do that. Anthony Edwards missed the game. Now, they say, they didn't report it till after the game. So maybe, and I don't know the specifics behind that one, maybe it was more of a innocent sort of removal or sitting out. But what LeBron James did is unacceptable, because that takes away from the Devin Bookers, DeMontis Sabonis, Norman Powell, and many other Western Conference All-Stars that could have been in the game if he would have just said that beforehand. So he ends his 20 consecutive streak appearance. And in case you missed it, the game was a mini tournament, y'all. It was just a mini tournament. So they had 3 All-Star teams. each selected by the Inside the NBA guys, Shuck, Shaq, Kenny. Shaq had his OGs. Kenny had the Young Bucks. And Chuck had a mix of world and U.S. talent that was both young and old. They also had a rising stars team of a lot of young players, G Leagues, rookies, that was coached by the great Candace Parker. Each game was played to 40 points, which amounted to about 15 minutes of play, maybe 10 minutes of play, 10, 15 minutes of play, which is what they were aiming for. They were aiming to make it like 4 quarters of basketball. God bless, this was horrible. This was horrible. Yes, thanks, Pops. Yes, Dad, still sucked. Yes, I agree. Still sucked. Horrible. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this mess. I watched a replay the other day. I found a VHS tape because I'm going through all my old tapes and I'm digitizing them so I can throw them away. And I found an old 1993 NBA All-Star game and I watched it. It was beautiful, static and everything. Beautiful. And during that game, do you know what happened? Well, first of all, I guess, the 3-point line was only invented maybe like 7 years before. So it wasn't as prevalent as a shot. But there weren't that many threes. They weren't having a dunk contest. They were all playing defense. They were all hustling for balls, diving on the court. You know what else happened? MJ and Magic Johnson had a duel off with seconds running off the clock in the fourth quarter in a 40-point blowout. Let me repeat that again. Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson were playing defense on each other at the end of the 1993 All-Star game in a 40-point blowout. Do you even think any of these guys, LeBron or any who sat out, didn't even play, or any of the other guys, would have been in there at the end of the game in a 40-point blowout playing defense? No, not even last night in the last game did they play defense. The first 2 games were actually halfway okay because they had younger players pushing the older players. But then you got to the last game, and it was the same old All-Star game. Lobs, dunks, three-pointers, no defense. Ole here, ole there, no mas. Si, senor. Like, no. It is horrible. That is an understatement. You're right. It was bad. And I don't like the tournament format. That doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make it any more exciting. And then you have all these lengthy timeouts in between. Yeah, I like Kevin Hart. I think he's funny. I think he brought a new sort of dimension to the game. He was commentating during the game, which seemed to, liven them up a little bit, make the crowd. Now, SGA didn't like that shit. SGA was like, don't talk to me while I'm trying to play. But come on, SGA. This is the All-Star game. You got to know everything's in fun, and you got to know that this is helping the league and helping your brand. So you can't be upset. You just got to play along because you got to know that that's helping fund your max salary, right? And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. How the players need to be playing a lot harder because they're invested in this league themselves. Shaq's OGs, Shaquille O'Neal's OGs, won the championship by beating Candace Parker's Rising Stars 42-35 in the first round, and then beating Team Chuck's International U.S. Stars 41 to 25. But this just wasn't good. It wasn't entertaining. It's not something I wanted to sit down and watch. Yeah, watch it because it's, first of all, it's the only thing on. I am a sports fanatic, so that's pretty much all I watch, unless I'm watching movies or something. So I was going to have it on anyways. I was working in the background, editing videos and stuff, but I had it on the TV. But it didn't make me look up that often, unless like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum were in the game, or I was just looking up because I heard a good moment going on. Like it's not entertaining. It's not like it used to be. You got to have defense played. You got to have something that brings the level of competition up. Now, shout out to Steph with the shot, Steph and Curry. You knew he was going to win the MVP because, by the way, he got outscored by JT. Jason Tatum 15-12, but they still gave him the MVP. But that's okay. We'll let you have it, Steph. We'll let you have it. You were hometown. We'll let you have it, but it should have gone to JT. Anyways, what can they do? a great idea has been brought up. My dad says it right here, Pops. Go international versus US. That's pretty much the only way at this point. That is pretty much the only way that this gets any better is if you put the internationals squad versus the U.S. squad and have them play for pride. Now, will it eventually devolve into the same thing over time? Probably, probably, probably. But at least for the first few years, it should inspire some healthy competition. So I am totally for the international versus U.S. idea. The only other way you could go would be to pay more money. But at this point, with all the max and super max players that make so much money and don't want to risk the injury, well, of course, they're not going to want to play hard. It makes sense. They're trying to protect their bottom line. They're trying to protect their brand. But it also makes it so it's not watchable. It also makes it so they're hurting their brand because their individual brands are linked with the NBA's brand. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, the only other way would be to up the winnings to like 10 million, like $1 million per person for the winning team. And maybe that way you inspire more competition. But even then, I don't think it would. So the international versus US at this point is really the only idea you can go with because you can't run this tournament out there again. They probably will again next year, but I don't advise it. Horrible. Booty juice, as I would usually say. And this is the other thing. Take a page from the NHL. I've heard a lot of people saying this. Thanks, Pop, for the comment. But this is the thing that I need to clarify for everybody. If you watched the Bottom Line Sports, you might have heard me say this during my professor's mixed bag. But the only reason that the NHL is even doing this Four Nations tournament this year is because of the fact they are going into the Winter Olympics in 2026. And so they were trying to have a showcase for that. But next year in 2026, they're going back to the All-Star game. Now, the NHL hockey doesn't have the problem that basketball does. Their games are still good. Now, obviously, it's because it has to be because you're on ice, you're skating fast, and you're hitting each other. You got to be vigilant at all times and playing at a high level there. So I don't think that's ever going to lose its luster. I always think that the NHL All-Star game will probably be the most hardest played All-Star game. Maybe not the best. I like MLB the best, but it will be the hardest played. That's for sure. So they can't take a play out of the NHL because the NHL didn't even do that play. I know that's what the media is saying. It's been all around. A lot of people just uninformed on ESPN, on Fox, on all these places. I was watching the game earlier. Just people are just so just ill-informed about this, and the ones in the hockey community, the ones that should be informed. They're going back to the All-Star game. Now, in 2028, they're bringing back the Tournament of Champions or Nations Tournament of Champions. So they're going to bring this back in 2028. But I still think they'll have the All-Star game going with that as well. So, but anyway, just wanted to make sure I clarified that up for everybody here that the NHL did not eliminate their All-Star game. They're going back to it next year. This is just a showcase for the Winter Olympics next year. But if nothing else, there needs to be something more in terms of effort because, as I mentioned earlier, last time I checked the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, players make almost a little below 51% of the revenue that the NBA makes. So if you're hurting the All-Star game by not putting enough effort into the game, which is hurting ratings, which is hurting sponsorships, which is hurting partnerships, which is hurting your dollars, which is hurting your revenue, your ROI, your bottom line, then inherently you're hurting and denigrating your own brand's worth. Because remember, each individual's player's brands are linked to the NBA. Even LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is head and shoulders above anyone else in terms of brand creation, brand marketing when it comes to NBA players. But he still is linked in some parts to the NBA, because once he stops playing, yes, he'll be forever a legend like Michael Jordan was. But once you're out of the league and you're out of the limelight and you're out of the spotlight, not everybody thinks about you as much anymore. Right? How's the old adage go? People don't think about you till you're gone. They don't care about you till you're dead and gone. The same thing when you retire from sports. When you're out of the limelight, you don't have as much popularity, as much time to be in the spotlight. But when you do, you need to maximize that. And these NBA players should be maximizing that. They really should. They really should be maximizing the fact that they have a part in this, that their revenues are linked to this. Right? No, I agree with you. Yeah. No, I agree completely, Pops. No, I agree. Yeah, international versus U.S. I think you're completely right. That's what it should be. That's the only thing I think that will inspire more confidence going into the future. So now I get what you're saying. I see. Cool. Thank you for that, clearing that up. But yeah, but thank you for the other thing too, because I got to clear that up for the audience as well. That the NHL Four Nations tournament is not forever. That the All-Star game is coming back next year. And so Giannis likes this idea. Giannis likes it. He said he'll give it some extra juice. SGA, Jokic, Doncic, Wemby versus, well, I don't know if LeBron will still be there next year, at least if they do this next year, but I don't know when they'll do this. So Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, who, by the way, doesn't want to be the face, y'all. He don't want to be the face. Leave him alone if he don't want to be the face. He said in the interview he does not want to be the face of the NBA, and I'm not mad at it. If he wants to be Kevin Durant and just go out there and ball and make his money and have a good time, then more power to him. You can't force people to be the face of the NBA. If he says he doesn't want to be the face of the NBA, leave him alone, let him do his thing, let him cook, as the kids say, and keep it moving. If Wemby or Doncic or can learn a little more English, or maybe they can be the faces. If JT wanted to speak up and be more outgoing, maybe he could, but he seems like he wants to take the Anthony Edwards route, which is fine. That's okay. You don't have to be LeBron or MJ in order to have a successful NBA career. Oh, yeah. The U.S. players wouldn't play hard enough anyways, so the international squad would beat them. But also just because the players, I think I agree with you as well. But it would still be fun, and it would still bring out that competition that I think is what the NBA All-Star Game needs in order to be revived. If not, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse, and ratings are going to keep decreasing.
Subscribe on YouTube at Ball and Buds for sports and entertainment.